What's going on, everyone? Welcome into Around the Felt, continuing our mini-series breaking down every team before the 2025 NFL season. Tonight, we got a fun one. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by my boy Baker Mayfield. I'm your host, Colin Tong. Joining me, as always, Reagan Loescher. Reagan, you ready to rock?
I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to cook something up, bake something up. Nah.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Yo.
Is that a hit, Bucs fans? Is that a hit? We getting a hit early on?
Yeah, it might be a hit, man. But you know what is a hit is Baker Mayfield in this offense. Fresh off a 10-win season, and they have won the NFC South 4 years in a row. Vegas giving them their respect with a 9.5 win total heading into 2025. Some key additions here. Hassan, Reddick, Emeka Ibuka, their first-round pick, and Benjamin Morrison, their second-round pick. Not a ton of free agent action for the Bucs, more retaining their own. They got an expensive roster. Some losses. Big one, Liam Cohen, the OC, and what he did with that offense last year. Robert Hainsey, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, and Jordan Whitehead. So not many significant losses for this team either. They're running the band back. This will be the 8th offensive coordinator in 8 seasons for Baker Mayfield, but it seems like he found his home in Tampa Bay, finally becoming a franchise quarterback worthy of being the first overall pick. You know, when the Kelsey brothers asked Baker, how do you fix the Browns quarterback situation? He goes, that ain't my problem anymore. I thought I was doing pretty damn well over there. And now he's doing pretty damn well in Tampa Bay. Reagan, 9.5 win total. How high are you in the Bucs in 2025?
I am slightly above what Vegas has. I have them going 10-7.
Okay.
I have them actually getting the first wild card spot in the NFC. I have the Panthers winning the division. Sorry, Bucs fans. Hope you stay here. But I have the Panthers edging them out, also going 10-7. And then I have the Falcons going 8-8. And
they play 17 games, so you can't be 8-8.
I'm sorry, 8-9, 8-9, 8-9. And then I believe I was like, let me just see. I know I'm like really low on the Saints.
You're not the only one very low on the Saints.
3-14 on the Saints. So I think all these teams are going to feast on the Saints. The main reason I had the Bucs not winning the division is it just hurts them. The fact that they're going to have to play the toughest schedule. They don't luck out like the Panthers do, in the sense where, you know, when you're the best team in your division, that means you're going to have a pretty hard schedule. You know, they didn't do a ton for me to move the needle. That makes me think that they're going to get up into that like 12-13 win tier. I think they're a great regular season team. I think, you know, it's going to be similar to last year where we can see them beating teams like the Eagles and beating teams like the Lions in the regular season. But then there's going to be times where the Bucs choke and it's like, whoa, like we see this team that they're competing with Super Bowl contenders. I do think this is a Super Bowl contender. I'm not going to lie. I'm super high on Baker Mayfield. I think he could win the MVP. It just ultimately is, I don't know how well of the regular season is going to look for them. I think they could be a team that, you know, wins that wild card or gets that first wild card, gets the win against the 4 seed, which in this case would be the Panthers. So, you know, getting a division matchup in the first round in the playoffs, and then they go and play like a 1 seed. And, you know, we've seen them beat Philadelphia in the playoffs and in the regular season. So there are some teams I think they match up well with. Even the Commanders, if they go against them again, I feel pretty confident in the Lions. So they match up with the best of them in the NFC. It's just, I don't really trust them enough in the regular season with how we've seen the past go, where it's like, you know, we see them beat these teams, but ultimately they can't get into that 12-13 win range.
Now, I'm curious your thoughts as part of that because of Todd Bowles as the head coach. Do you not trust him as much as some other coaches in the NFC to propel him forward? Because there's no doubt they have an elite offense, but, you know, do they have a coaching deficiency compared to their peers?
I definitely think they do. I mean, I was a Jet fan, and he's just very like, he doesn't move the needle. I mean, he can get you the wins and get you into the playoffs, but like we've yet to see him move the needle, you know, in either situation. I mean, he was a great DC, obviously, you know, was the DC when they won the Super Bowl, but it really is a tough schedule when you look at it. I mean, they're going against, you know, playing Atlanta twice won't be easy. I mean, you got the Texans. I mean, they'll probably wallop the Jets, but, you know, the Texans, the Eagles, Seattle was a 10-win team last year.
Oh, you know, the Seahawks that you have with 4 wins, you're saying that's a tough schedule?
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't think Seattle's going to be good, but it's still a 10-win team. I'm trying to get to my point of the fact that they have a lot of teams that were, you know, above 10 wins last year on the schedule. We expect the 49ers to be better. They got the Lions. New England will be better. They got the Bills, the Rams. You know, the Cardinals won a lot of games last year, you know. So they definitely have a lot of tough games on the schedule, so that's why I got them going 10-7. I think they'll win some of these big games, but it's just hard for me to believe they'll get over 10.
I got 11-6, man. I have them winning the division. I am fully in on Baker Mayfield and this offense in particular. Really what held them back last year was the defense. I'll get back to the offense, but you look at the underlying metrics here and it's like they allowed the 4th least rushing yards. So we've always talked about the Bucs being a tough defense to run on with their front and their linebackers. They were 5th in pressure rate, 6th in sacks. The problem was, I think Todd Bowles let them down schematically because they couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. They didn't force many turnovers, and they made the offense win in a lot of shootouts. Their passing defense also wasn't great. Doesn't help that, Dean he's missed 9 games the past 2 years, and he's just not the same player he once was. Antoine Winfield's still a dog on the back end, but that's why you added Benjamin Morrison in the 2nd round. Up front, Vita Vea is a stud. He had 7 sacks and 11% pressure rate. Love him. Kalijah Kancey, they took in the 1st round of Pitt a couple years ago. Getting a lot of comps to Aaron Donald because he's 6 foot tall and also from Pitt. But, he had 7.5 sacks, which led the team. So you love that from the interior. Definitely some question marks on the edge, though. Can Hassan Reddick be a guy that he was for the Eagles and Cardinals where he was getting double-digit sacks? He had 4 straight 10-sack seasons before joining the Jets. And then it was the whole contract holdout and that whole mess. And then he had 1 sack last year. So he's going to be very important for this defense because offensively, my goodness, they have arguably they are up there in receiver rooms, running back rooms, offensive line. Baker had 41 touchdowns and 16 picks last year, 4,500 passing yards. And that was with, Evans hurting his hamstring, Godwin dislocating his ankle. He was running with McMillan and Sterling Shepard for a good stretch, and they were feasting. He also ran for a career-high 378 yards and 3 touchdowns, so some extra fantasy value there with the legs that we haven't seen from Baker. He was top 5 in completion rate, passer rating. One of the best 3rd-down quarterbacks in football. He's clutched in the 4th. I love Baker Mayfield. He's great. And behind this offensive line, Tristan Wirfs, one of the best offensive linemen, period, in football. Luke Gedicke's developed. Graham Barton, they took out of Duke as their center. And Cody Mock from North Dakota State has been great. They were 5th in ESPN's pass block win rate and 6th in run block win rate. So you got a great offensive line, and then you add in a piece like a Bucky Irving, who's just insanely better than Rachaad White. It was insane last year when they were still splitting carries.
White's just such a good pass protector.
He is. That's why he gets on the field. But it was like, come on, the split should not have been 50-50 for as long as it was. Once Bucky got the full, not the full run, but the lion's share of touches, he was eating. He was 10th in rushing yards last year in the league and had 5.4 yards per carry. And it really took till halfway through the season for him to get a huge role. He was 9th in explosive, 1st in yards after contact per rush, which is crazy because he's not a big back. Yeah, he was awesome. 5th in yards per carry. He was great. And they're projected to face the 3rd easiest schedule of run defenses. So Bucky Irving should have another big season behind this O-line and this offense.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of on Bucky. I'm kind of surprised he's still going as a late 2nd, early 3rd in a lot of drafts. I thought after, how the season ended, and maybe that's a lot of people being nervous that White will still have a role. And, Sean Tucker showed he has some juice. And, not that he, will take a ton of touches, but show that at least he'll have a significant role. Yeah, Bucky's going, his ADP is about 25, so late 2nd, early 3rd, depending on your format. And that probably could be based off of half and full and non-PPR leagues because he doesn't fully get the pass catching work. But he's a guy I could see it finishing as a top 5 running back, if not top 3. But he just needs the volume to do it.
100%. His underlying metrics are there. The offense is explosive. They're going to score a ton of points. Awesome offensive line. It seems like a smash play at that part of the draft board, especially if you go receiver in round 1. If you go receiver, and you can get Bucky early round 3, that's a home run start to a fantasy draft for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then the receiver room, man. Of course, Evans, another 1,000-yard season. Godwin was actually playing really well before the ankle. It's tough to predict how he's going to look. Before that week 7 ankle injury, he was averaging over 80 yards a game. He was leading the league in receiving yards. The dude was balling. And then McMillan came in and added 460 yards and 8 touchdowns. That touchdown number is very high for a rookie. That just shows you what this offense can do, right? And then you add Emeka Ibuka, who I am so high on. I think he's going to be the wide receiver 2 out the gate. I don't think Godwin will ever retake that role, to be honest with you. former 5-star recruit. The production was right there with Marv in 2023. He just got overshadowed by him. Like, he also had 1,200 yards. He's got outside-inside flexibility. The dude's a dog. And, it seems like the rich get richer. Like, wide receiver is certainly not the biggest need for this team when they took him.
Not even close.
Not even close. But especially with how McMillan played, But now it's just like, wow, Baker's got a lot to play with here. I think the defense will be better, and I think the offense is going to be top 5 in football. I got 11-6 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, what does it sound like with Godwin? Like, when does it sound like he's going to be back?
Dude, I don't know, man, because it's like he's
so
not.
Many different reports.
He's not. Is he practicing right now?
No, he's on the pup. He's on the pup. I just didn't know if it's like I've heard some. I'm going to see right now because I've heard so many different things. Is he going to be ready to go week 1? Is he not? Yeah, the latest report that I'm seeing, it's still uncertain whether he'll be ready for week 1. So I feel like that's giving people a lot of like hesitancy in these fantasy drafts because Mike Evans, regardless, is going to be a stud. But the Chris Godwin thing really throws a wrinkle into like where to draft Emeka Ibuka as well as McMillan because you just don't know how long Godwin will be out. Because if he's out 6 weeks, not only does that push those other guys up, but it also gives them a chance to take and carve out significant roles where if they're balling out, Godwin's not going to just come back and take it from them where, if Godwin's ready week 1, then it's going to be the other two probably fighting for that number 3 and 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Ibuka, it's better than Godwin right now, to be honest with you. And everything that's coming out of Bucs camp, like all their coaches and Baker's like, this guy looks like a seasoned vet. Like his routes are so clean. All he does is get open. He's unbelievable. Like he's exceeded their expectations as a first-round pick. So with all that praise coming out and the caliber of player he is and how he always produced at Ohio State, and Ohio State receivers rarely miss, man. They rarely miss. So I'm all in on Emeka Ibuka. I'm taking him in every redraft league that I get, every best ball league that I get.
Really?
Everyone.
I haven't taken much stock of him at all.
Every single one, I'm taking Emeka Ibuka.
I'm just staying away from the situation. Like if I'm wrong,
why?
I'm wrong,
Baker threw over 40 touchdowns last year.
I know, but still,
a lot of.
There's 4 guys there. Plus, I think Bucky is going to have a huge thing. And like, let's not forget about Kate Otten. He still had a great season as well.
Yeah,
like,
he's solid. He's solid.
No, yeah, he is. That's what I'm saying. That there's just so many mouths to feed where it's like, and we don't know the share. Like I've been getting my fair share of Mike Evans because he's going to be a beast. But Otten still had 60 catches for 600 yards and 4 touchdowns last year. So that's still a big chunk of the pie. He'll be on the field. So it's just like, I don't know. I've just been so scared to take any of the wide receivers outside of Evans. So I've just opted to go in different directions. Now my next question is just looking at the history, and if we're both right in the sense that this is going to be a good team, like where is Josh Grizzard going to be coaching next year? Their new OC.
My guess is going to be the Tennessee Titans to lead Cam Ward. That would be my early guess.
That's your prediction?
Yeah, that's my prediction.
Wow. Mine's the New York Giants to lead Jackson Dart.
Okay, so you think just a stray bullet hitting my Giants in a Buccaneers pod. I appreciate that, brother. It's really kind of you. All right, let's get into the MVP for the Buccaneers. Who you got?
I mean, it's Baker. Let's
Baker. Baker's going to bake, man. Come on, 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns last year. Baker's going to bake. He's the MVP of this team. He's got every weapon.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's pretty obvious there that, obviously on the defense, they got some studs. Vita Vea up front is like the biggest reason their run defense is so good. Levante David just doesn't age, it appears. I mean, dude came in the league in 2012 and is just still balling out, showing no signs of falling back or slipping. And then Winfield, I mean, they got a stud on every level of this defense, it seems like.
They do. It's just like, the talent's there. They got to perform, though. You know what I mean? It's like they got to perform to that level that they expect because the offense can't just win in shootouts over and over again. It's like similar to the Bengals, except this defense has way more talent than the Bengals. They shouldn't be in the same breath.
Yeah, I mean, the secondary is pretty, like, obviously I like Winfield. The corners scare me a lot, but that also has been historically the Todd Bowles' defense that you're not going to run on us, you're going to beat us through the air. So I'd imagine that'll be a similar feat this year. And, if the offense does ball out, this definitely has a lot of shootout potential, but this is a defense I'm definitely targeting for, my quarterbacks against, just knowing the fact that if the offense goes up quick, that's going to take out the run game, and it's already not an attractive one. So probably benching my running backs unless they're like must-start guys
Yeah,
against this
yeah,
team.
100%. Yeah, if it's your RB1, you're going to play him. But, if it's a flex play, you're like, let's stay away from Tampa Bay here. They're probably going to have to beat him through the air. Who is your X factor for the Buccaneers in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple different ways you can go here. But I'm going to stick on the defensive side. I'm going to go with Kancey, that
Okay.
he's just going to continue to develop because, they really need somebody to become that premier edge rusher that they haven't had. I mean, obviously Vita Vea is a premier. He's going to be taking on a lot of double teams on the inside, but they're going to need somebody that can, push double-digit sacks. I mean, they bring in Reddick, but I don't think, I find it hard to believe that he's going to come in and return the form. I mean, maybe they're optimistic, maybe Bucs fans are, but he's coming off of 7.5 sacks last year in only 12 games. So probably would have hit that number or been closer to 10 if he played all 17. So I think he has the tools to do it. I think he could be looking at 12, 13 games or 12, 13 sacks if he stays healthy. Maybe even a dark horse for defensive player of the year.
Oh, that's crazy call out of you. That's Kancey's a dog, but he ain't on that level of, Chris Jones, Dexter Lawrence, Quinnen Williams in there, like he's not that good.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Now, I mean, for a D tackle, it would be hard, but just still. But if he can get up to be a 10 sack guy, that would be a huge boost for this defense.
100%. I went with Hassan Reddick as the X factor. Are you getting Jets Hassan Reddick? Or are you getting Eagles Hassan Reddick? It's pretty night and day. Because if you're going to add a 10 sack guy on this edge, I mean, shit, this defense has a chance to be very good and exceed expectations. If you're going to get the Jets guy, it's going to be, all right, man, like this is the weakness of this team. I mean, you could argue the corners, but maybe the edge rushers are the weakness of this team. You know what I mean? Like they need some guys to get after the passer. And you're going to have a lot of opportunities to pin your ears back on this defense because this offense is going to put up points. So they need guys to step up and get after the quarterback to help seal some wins late and get off the field on third downs.
Well, and not just that. We saw how key Shaq Barrett was for this defense.
Yeah, absolutely.
When they were winning the Super Bowls. And I mean, I think his career high was 15.
He was up there. He was absolutely up there, yeah.
In the season. But, 15 is very significant. I'm actually curious. I'm going to look that up. But what were we going to say next?
The next one we got, the rookie of the year for the Buccaneers. It's Emeka Ibuka. Now tell me why it is, Reagan. Or do you have another pick here?
No, I'm sorry. I said 15. I was way off. 19 and a half.
Yeah, that's legit. That is.
I
forgot he almost touched 20.
That wasn't the season they won the Super Bowl, though. But still, 19 and a half is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, that is unheard of. And that was back when, and he only played, that was back when it was 16 as well. So if he had that extra game, he's probably getting over 20.
Yeah, that's legit. That's a legit season.
Very
but who's
legit.
your rookie of the year? Who's your rookie of the year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard there's not a ton of options here. It looks like Ibuka is going to have a big role. I'm not going to pick Tez Johnson, but I think there'll be a role for him just because,
as a returner.
He's like as a returner, maybe get some nines in here as a gadget player, but I could see him having definitely a role here. I know Jacob Parrish is slotted to be the nickelback, but let's be real here. It's Ibuka. Ibuka? No.
Ibuka, yeah. I mean, Jacob Parrish, from Kansas State. He's probably going to play the slot. I already sung my praises for Ibuka. I think the guy's going to be an absolute stud, and I think he is going to be up there for Offensive Rookie of the Year, to be honest with you. But wow. I do want to shout out Benjamin Morrison, the DB they took from Notre Dame in the second round. He was potentially going to be a first-round pick before a hip injury ended his season. And, of course, a hip injury for a DB is just terrible. But he was dominant at Notre Dame. Like, insane. And he played more than half of his snaps in man coverage, which is rare. And he was still dominant. So I think in the second round here, of course, you have some injury concerns with the hip. And long-term, that could be a problem. But he could be a gem for this team that needs help at corner bad.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that call out of you at all. I mean, I know right now he's slated to not be one of the starting quarterbacks, but a lot will change throughout the season. But
Jamel Dean will probably get hurt again. He'll work his way.
At Notre Dame.
Yeah, he'll work his way in the lineup. Who's your depoy? Good options to pick from on this defense.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kancey again. I think. Yeah,
I mean, if you're saying he's a chance for dark horse,
I'm gonna go with Kancey.
He's got to be.
If he can stay healthy, I really think he can go to that whole next level. I mean, 7.5 sacks from the interior in 12 games is just insane. I mean, he's a big pressure rate guy. Vita Vea is just going to open up a lot for him. I just basically going to regurgitate why he's the X factor, but I think he will be the driving force behind this defense. I'm all in on him this year.
100%. I went with Antoine Winfield Jr. Hopefully bouncing back to that 2023 All-Pro form. There's going to be a lot of opportunities in the back end to force some turnovers. They could not force a lot of turnovers last year. What could really be an X factor for this team is if Antoine Winfield can get up to 6-7 picks on the back end and start getting that offense some more possessions. I mean, he's a beast. He was considered one of the best safeties in the league, got paid like it. Let's return that 2023 form in 2025.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fantasy football, man. The Buccaneers got a lot to work with here. I don't think you could say someone I'd be like, no, I wouldn't take him. I would take anyone on this offense.
I mean, I already
Bucky, Ibuka, Evans.
Like I said, I'm staying away from all the wide receivers, not made Mike Evans. It's just too many mouths to feed. I'm just gonna pass. I'm in on Mike Evans. I mean, he's always such a good value in that like 4th, 5th round. You know what you're getting with him, and then there's gonna be the weeks where he just wins it. No, but there's also the weeks where he does, where he's gonna go 2 for 10, and then the next week he'll come out with 11 for 180 and 3, and that's the Mike Evans experience. But Bucky Irving, I'm definitely is a must get in all leagues. I think White will still have enough of a role that you want to grab him, especially if Irving misses any time. So he's a guy that on some weeks, if it's a positive matchup, especially for the rushing, and the Bucs are slated to be up big, it's definitely worth starting him as the flex. So definitely grab him as well. And I like, and Baker even, I think he's going as QB 8 or 9, and it's to me, we were talking about Joe Burrow, but I think they'll end with very similar fantasy seasons, and I think you're getting Baker at a discount. But I think when we look at the numbers come the end of the year, I don't think Baker and Burrows will be that different.
Yeah, I mean, you might have a point there. I actually got Baker in underdog draft. He's going as QB 7 in underdog, but there were 3 or 4 quarterbacks picked that were ranked behind him before me, and he kind of fell into my lap late, and I was like, are you kidding me? The next quarterback on the board was QB 12, and I was like, this is a home run, dude. Why are people sleeping on Baker?
And that's what I mean, dude. I just told, Joe Burrow's going as a late 3rd. I think Baker is going as a 6th or 7th. So, and to me, when you look at the two guys, do you think Joe Burrow will have that much better of a season than Baker?
I mean, I have Joe Burrow as my MVP, so I think he'll have a better season. But I do think Baker is going to bake. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year. And I think if you wait on quarterback, if you wait on quarterback though and go round 6 or 7, Baker is a phenomenal pick because you load up on running backs and receivers, and then you can get a quarterback that's. I mean, he threw for 4,500 yards and 40 touchdowns last year without Ibuka in the picture, right? And with a beat up wide receiver core, and he's got the whole band back together.
His ADP is 60 right now, so in a 12-team league, he's going late 5th, early 6th. So, and even they're even projecting him to only have ESPN is projecting him to have 20 less points than Burrow. So that was, I know that we're talking about the Bucs, but that was my biggest thing is, I just think there's other options that you can get similar production later. And I definitely think Baker could be pushing for the MVP, but that to me, that's an incredible value.
I would love MVP.
And even
Baker.
Mahomes is going before him still. And it's just do we really think Mahomes is going to return to what we saw when he won the MVPs? Probably not. Even if he does win another MVP, I still think Baker will put up similar numbers. I mean, the weapons are sick. And, we just talked about how, we still don't love this defense. So I think there's going to be some shootouts for sure.
Yeah, I'm all for MVP for Baker Mayfield. That is my guy. If we were to have anyone on this podcast interview, my number one choice would be Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. I mean, you say that every podcast for the team's quarterback that we're doing it on. So
that's just not true. I've only gotten a dance battle and did a shot with one NFL quarterback, and that one was Baker Mayfield.
Oh yeah, Daniel Jones when you guys met him in Hoboken recently, correct?
No, we did. I mean, we did meet Daniel Jones in Hoboken. We didn't do shots though, but me and Baker, we partied. It was good. So Baker's my guy. Bucs fans, let us know in the comments why Baker Mayfield is the man, why he could win the MVP, and is he your guy to lead you back to the Super Bowl? We'd love to see it. Let's go Bucs, baby.